Well, what do you do if you're a CEO in an industry that just got an investor alert from the SEC on the grounds that fraudsters often exploit the latest growth industry, in this case, marijuana? Well, I can tell you what you can do. You can become this guy, Mr. Bill Shaban, CEO of Creative Edge Nutrition. What he did was post on Facebook a response to the SEC that basically blamed them for the drop in the company's stock price. And you know what? Some people actually believed him. Really. It's because of the SEC. It's nothing to do with the strange financial report the company filed. Is that right? Let's get to the point. Why the quarterly report is downright weird. The main thing that raises a question are the revenues, but we'll get to that in a second. So, last year, cash reserves were recorded at 19,000, and suddenly they became 3 million. Liabilities rose too, from 4.6 to 6.5 million. And now we get to the heart of the problem. Revenues were reported to have grown to 5.1 million, while the previous quarter they were recorded at a meager 300,000. Obviously, the final result, profit or loss, changed because of those as well. Where did the revenues come from? Creative haven't even launched their new facility in Lakeshore, Canada. How can they make millions more in revenues when for the last quarter, most other pot stocks have experienced a fall in that department? You gotta dig and dig, then hit a rock, then dig deeper in the report to find the answer near the very last page. Apparently, Creative Edge decided to sell 7.5% of the net revenue interest of its old growing facility for $5 million. They intend to sell a total of 25% of the interest for the sum of $20 million. Okay, so we got an answer. But now, more questions start to pop up. Who bought the 7.5% interest? Why were the $5 million recorded under revenues as this isn't even an actual revenue? Why wasn't anything filed under subsequent events when in fact there are such events? And who has the answer to all of these questions? That would be Mr. Shaban, of course. But getting an answer from him is highly doubtful. He is, to put it frankly, one of the most controversial figures in the industry. Not because of anything he's done, but because of the things he said. Some of which are deeply philosophical, including,
I'm a scam? You. You know how many people I've told to off?
Apart from displaying bad language, Mr. Shaban has contradicted himself in the past. In an interview with Mr. Chris Perry, he mentioned being extremely careful about not making big claims, and he said that if reporters decide to spin a story, he can't control that. But if he is so careful, why did he share on the internet a New York Post article about his company titled "World's Largest Pot Stock Facility to Open in Ontario"? Okay, if reporters are spinning a story in a way that gives shareholders false impressions, isn't it logical Creative would be issuing a clarification? Well, the company never did that, and there may be a big reason that contributes to all of this. Mr. Chris Perry thinks that Mr. Shaban has created a cult around himself. Yeah, for real. He also believes that this cult is at least partially fueled by the big promises Mr. Shaban makes. This is a group of loyal supporters who blindly follow Creative Edge in almost anything. These are the people who agreed that the SEC is the reason the company's share price fell. And when investors start blaming an institution that is looking out for their safety, it may be time they stick their heads out of the green mist and take a sober look at things. Now, Creative Edge's stock is clearly volatile. After the filing of the Q1 report, it became apparent that shareholders didn't believe the new big numbers. Creative started falling, but then suddenly bounced back. The reason for that are two press releases that amount to little more than fluff. Basically, Mr. Shaban has worked his magic again. But as the movements are all the result of hype, more unsteady trading is sure to follow. And oh yeah, one more thing. The extremely careful Mr. Shaban was asked if there were any competitors he thought were doing great. You want to know what he said?
No, they're all going to get flushed down the toilet.
I have a small amount of money to invest and I want to gamble in the market. I'm looking for a penny stock that'll go up and turn it into $100,000 or $1 million.